An 80-year-old woman stood in court facing the judge after being caught shoplifting a can of peaches. The judge leaned forward and asked, "Ma'am, can you tell me why you stole the peaches?" The elderly woman looked down, her voice trembling as she replied, "Your Honor, my husband and I are struggling. We don't have any money, and I was very hungry." The judge nodded, showing a hint of sympathy. "How many peaches were in the can?" he asked. "6," she said quietly. The judge sighed and declared, "In that case, I'm sentencing you to 1 day in jail for each peach, 6 days in total." Before the judge could finalize the sentence, the woman's husband suddenly stood up from the back of the courtroom. "Your Honor," he said, raising his hand, "if it helps, I feel I should let you know. Last week, she also stole a can of peas." Teacher: "Papu, please tell me, what is India Gate?" Papu: "Sir, India Gate is fine quality basmati rice." Teacher: "What is Charminar?" Papu: "Charminar is a very popular cigarette in India, and due to its low cost, it is easily affordable." Teacher: "What is Taj Mahal?" Papu: "Taj Mahal is packet of tea leaves." Teacher: "Rascal, how dare you give such answers? You are spoiling the name of national treasures. If you want me to allow you in the classroom tomorrow, don't forget to come with your father's signature." Papu: "Okay, sir. Next day." Teacher, looking at the table: "Papu, you idiot! How dare you bring whiskey bottle inside the classroom?" Papu: "Sorry, sir, but you only told me to bring my father's signature today. I simply obeyed your order. Now again you are shouting. This is not fair, sir." Yerande, a man and his wife were driving along chatting. The wife asked, "Honey, if I died, would you remarry?" He thought for a moment and replied, "Well, yes, I think I would." The wife fell silent, clearly not thrilled. After a while, she asked, "If you did remarry, would you give her my jewelry?" "Well, yes, I suppose I would," he answered. Now even less pleased, she pondered quietly before asking, "Would you give her my handbags too?" "Sure, I think I would," he said. Frowning, she pressed on. "What about my golf clubs?" He quickly replied, "No." Surprised, she asked, "Why not?" "Because she's left-handed." A girl came skipping home from school one day. "Mommy, Mommy," she yelled. "We were counting today, and all the other kids could only count to 4. But I counted to 10. See? -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. "Very good," said her mother. "Is it because I'm blonde, Mommy?" "Yes, it's because you're blonde," her mother replied. The next day, the girl came skipping home from school. "Mommy, Mommy," she yelled. "We were saying the alphabet today, and all the other kids could only say it to D, but I said it to G. See? A, B, C, D, E, F, G." "Very good," said her mother. "Is it because I'm blonde, Mommy?" "Yes, Pumpkin, it's because you're blonde." The next day, the girl came skipping home from school. "Mommy, Mommy," she yelled. "We were in gym class today, and when we showered, all the other girls had flat chests, but I have these." Then she lifted her tank top to reveal a pair of 36Cs. "Very good," said her embarrassed mother. "Is it because I'm blonde, Mommy?" "No, it's because you're 25. Nang. A middle-aged woman seemed sheepish as she visited her gynecologist. "Come now," coaxed the doctor. "You've been seeing me for years. There's nothing you can't tell me." "This one's kind of strange," the woman said. "Let me be the judge of that," the doctor replied. "Well," she said, "yesterday I went to the bathroom in the morning and heard a plink, plink, plink in the toilet. When I looked down, The water was full of pennies. I see, commented the doctor calmly. That afternoon, I went to the bathroom again, and plink, 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 there were 5 pence pieces in the bowl, the woman continued. That night, she went on, I went again, and plink, 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 there were 50 pence pieces. This morning, there were £1 coins. You've got to tell me what's wrong with me, she implored. I'm scared out of my wits. The gynecologist put a comforting hand on her shoulder. There, it's nothing to be scared about, he said. You're simply going through the change. Inde, a husband and wife, were celebrating 50 years together. Their 3 highly successful children had all agreed to gather for a special Sunday dinner in their honor. Happy anniversary, Mom and Dad, gushed their eldest son, a surgeon. Sorry I'm late. I had an emergency at the hospital and didn't have time to get you a gift. Not to worry, said the father. The important thing is that we're all together today. Soon after, their second son, a high-powered lawyer, arrived. You and Mom look great, Dad. I just flew in from LA between depositions and didn't have time to shop for a gift. It's nothing, the father reassured him. We're just happy you made it. Finally, their daughter, a busy marketing executive, rushed in. Hello and happy anniversary. I'm so sorry. I've been swamped with work and packing for a last-minute business trip, so I didn't have time to get you anything. After dessert, the father leaned back and said, There's something your mother and I have been meaning to tell you. You see, we were very poor when we started out. Despite that, we managed to send each of you to college, and through all these years, your mother and I loved each other deeply. But we never found the time to actually get married. The 3 children gasped. Wait, you mean we're bastards? Yep, the father said with a grin. And cheap ones too. Ara. One peaceful morning, a young boy and his father set out for a fishing trip. After a few quiet hours on the boat, the boy, filled with curiosity, began asking questions about the world around him. He looked up at his dad and asked, How do fish breathe underwater? His dad thought for a moment, then simply replied, I really don't know, son. The boy, not deterred, paused for a while before asking, How does our boat float on the water? Once again his dad answered, I don't know, son. The boy sat in deep thought for a moment and then asked, Why's the sky blue? His dad, smiling gently, replied, I don't know, son. Feeling concerned that his questions might be bothering his father, the boy hesitated before asking, Dad, do you mind that I'm asking you all of these questions? His dad turned to him, his eyes warm and kind, and said, Of course not, son. How else are you ever going to learn anything? 3 bulls overheard that the rancher was planning to bring in another bull, and the news sparked quite a conversation among them. The first bull says, Look, boys, I've been here for 5 years. We worked out the details, and I have my 100 cows. Now, I don't know where this newcomer thinks he's going to find his cows, but I'm not giving him a single one of mine. The second bull adds, That's exactly how I feel. I've been here 3 years, and I've earned my 50 cows. I'll stand my ground if I have to, but I'm keeping all of them. The third bull, younger and newer to the ranch, says, I've only been here a year, and I've got 10 cows to take care of. I may not be as big as you guys, but I'm young, strong, and full of energy. I'm keeping all my cows. As they finish their talk, an 18-wheeler rolls up, and out steps the largest bull they've ever seen, this 4,700-pound giant. Each step he takes seems to shake the earth beneath him. The first bull looks over, his posture softening. Well, you know, it's been a while since I felt I was really doing justice to all my cows anyway. I think I can spare a few for the new guy. The second bull, looking a little nervous, says, I'll stick to my end of the pasture and keep out of his way. I'm not looking to cause any trouble. They turn to the third bull, who is still pawing the ground, snorting fiercely, his horns raised high. The first bull shakes his head and says, "Son, let me give you some advice. Let him have some of your cows if you want to keep things peaceful." The third bull, snorting even louder, replies, "He can have all my cows. I'm just making sure he knows who's still the bull around here." Yet to one sunny afternoon, I joined a group of friends for lunch, which included a delightful elderly man named Jim. At 85, Jim was a bit shorter, with a balding head and a love for golf. He blended seamlessly with our lively group. As the menus were handed out, my friends and I chose a variety of healthy options: salads, sandwiches, and soups. Jim, however, surprised us all when he confidently ordered a generous slice of homemade apple pie, warmed up with 2 big scoops of vanilla ice cream. His choice seemed almost extravagant compared to our more modest selections, but he didn't seem to mind one bit. As our meals arrived, I found myself watching Jim with fascination. He savored every bite of his indulgent dessert, while the rest of us enjoyed our meals with a mix of curiosity and amusement. The next time I dined out, I decided to invite Jim. I chose a light tuna sandwich, while Jim went for a rich chocolate parfait. As I chuckled at the contrast, Jim noticed and asked if he was amusing me. "Yes, Jim," I replied. "But you also make me wonder why you always go for such extravagant desserts, while I feel the need to stick to healthy choices." Jim's eyes twinkled as he said, "I'm here to experience everything I can. Sure, I eat well and take care of my health, but life is too short to miss out on pleasures. This year, I realized I've never been this old before, so I decided to enjoy all the little things I've been putting off." He continued, "There are still so many flowers to smell, trout streams to fish, fudge sundaes to savor, and golf courses to explore. I haven't laughed at all the jokes, attended all the games, or tasted all the chips and sodas. I want to wade in the ocean, sit in a quiet country church, and enjoy peanut butter on my toast every day. I haven't shed tears over every movie or walked in the rain enough." Jim's words resonated deeply with me. "If choosing dessert over dinner means living fully," he said with a grin, "then I'm all in. I'd rather die knowing I've lived to the fullest, having had that final piece of pie before my time runs out." Inspired by his outlook, I turned to the waitress and said, "I've changed my mind. I'll have what he's having, with extra whipped cream." Jim reminded me that true happiness isn't about wealth, power, or status. It's about cherishing relationships and finding joy in simple pleasures. And while money may talk, it's clear that ice cream sings. 9 dots. Once upon a time, a man was fed up. Every day, he dragged himself to work for 8 grueling hours while his wife stayed home, doing whatever it was she did. One evening, he couldn't take it anymore and decided to have a little chat with the big guy upstairs. "Dear Lord," he prayed, "I work hard all day while my wife stays home. I want her to know what I go through. Please, just for one day, switch our bodies so she can see how tough my life is." Now God, being all-knowing and having a wicked sense of humor, decided to grant the man's wish. The next morning, the man woke up as a woman. He blinked at his reflection in the mirror, shrugged, and thought, how hard could this be? Spoiler, it was hard. By 6 a.m., he was cooking breakfast while dodging flying cereal bowls. He wrestled the kids out of bed like a WWE champion, dressed them, which somehow involved tying 27 shoelaces, and packed their lunches. After dropping them at school, he swung by the dry cleaners, wrestled a cart through the grocery store, and speed-cleaned the house like a caffeinated Roomba. By 1 p.m., he was knee-deep in laundry, covered in dog hair from bathing the dog, and trying to figure out how a single cat could poop so much. He barely had time to breathe before it was time to pick up the kids. Cue chaos, homework arguments, snack negotiations, and a full-blown meltdown over mismatched socks. He ironed while watching Judge Judy, peeled potatoes like he was defusing a bomb, and breaded pork chops while dreaming of his old desk job. Dinner came and went in a flurry of dishes, crumbs, and complaints about broccoli. Then it was bath time, bedtime stories, and tucking the kids in. By the time he crawled into bed, he was an exhausted wreck. And then, his wife, or rather he, gave him that look. "Seriously?" he muttered. But he went through with it because he was a trooper. The next morning, completely wrecked, he knelt by the bed and begged, "Lord, I was so wrong. Please, I'll never complain again. Just switch us back." God, chuckling from above, replied, "Well, about that. You got pregnant last night, so, you're gonna need to ride this out for the next 9 months." And that's when the man realized God truly does work in mysterious and hilarious ways. But one evening after dinner, my son rushed up to me, clearly worried. "Dad, something's wrong with one of my lizards. He's just lying there, looking sick. Can you help?" Trying to appear calm, I followed him into his room. Sure enough, one of his 2 lizards was lying on its back, looking unwell. Unsure of what I was seeing, I called for my wife. "Honey, come take a look at this." She entered the room and gasped. "Oh my goodness, I think she's having babies." My son was horrified. "What? But their names are Bert and Ernie." I was equally confused. "Wait, how is that possible? We agreed we didn't want them reproducing," I said, looking at my wife. She gave me a dry look. "And what exactly do you expect me to do about that?" "You were supposed to get 2 males, I reminded her. "Well, sometimes it's hard to tell," she shot back. By now, the rest of the family had gathered around to witness the spectacle. Trying to make the best of it, I turned to the kids. "All right, kids, we're about to witness something special. The miracle of life." The kids groaned in disgust. "Gross! What are we supposed to do with a bunch of baby lizards?" my wife asked, concerned. I peered closely at the lizard. It squirmed, and what looked like a tiny foot briefly appeared before disappearing again. "We're not getting very far here," I observed. "It's breach," my wife whispered in alarm. "Do something, Dad," my son urged. Nervously, I reached in to try and assist, but every time I gently pulled, the tiny foot slipped back in. "Should we call 911? My eldest daughter asked. "Maybe they can help." "Let's get Ernie to the vet," I decided. We rushed to the vet, with my son holding the lizard's cage on his lap. "Hang in there, Ernie," he whispered. At the vet's office, the doctor examined Ernie closely. After a few moments, he turned to my wife and me with a calm expression. "Mr. and Mrs. Cameron, may I speak to you privately?" We followed him aside, and he smiled. "Ernie's perfectly fine. He's not in labor. In fact, Ernie is a young male. Sometimes when they grow up, they act out a bit." We stared at him for a moment, understanding slowly dawning. "So Ernie wasn't sick, just, acting out?" my wife asked, trying not to laugh. "That's correct," the vet confirmed. My wife chuckled softly, but the more she thought about it, the harder it became for her to keep it together. Soon, she was laughing uncontrollably. "What's so funny?" I asked, already knowing what she found amusing. She gasped for breath between laughs. I just can't believe you were trying to help him like that." "That's enough," I muttered, feeling more than a little embarrassed. We thanked the vet and bundled Ernie back into the car. On the way home, my son, blissfully unaware, looked up at me. "I'm sure Ernie's really grateful for what you did, Dad." "Oh, you have no idea," my wife said, stifling another giggle. 2 lizards, $140. 1 cage, $50. Trip to the vet, $30.